Welcome to Cuckoo Clock Yoga. We will be ready to get going in just a second. Here we are. This is yoga for anyone. There's relatively no frills. You can see by the surroundings, we're just in our own house. And we do this for the enjoyment of it. And if anybody else likes to watch and likes to follow on, you're just most welcome to. Because I can't see what you're doing, I'm going to give very verbose instructions and we're going to do relatively easy poses. That's it. Okay. Come to standing at the front of your mat. Toes together. Close your eyes. Stretch the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. You spent the whole day probably sitting or doing tasks that required some strength, walking, standing, and we generally don't straighten ourselves out much during the day. So take this moment to stand nice and tall, the most distance you can between the crown of your head and your heels. Bring your attention to your breathing. Start breathing into your belly. Your stomach just moves forward for the inhale and moves in for the exhale. Your ribs might expand slightly at the same time. And at the very end, your collarbones might lift gently. You want to breathe all the way down into the lungs. Warm up our hamstrings a little bit. Separate your feet. Interlace your fingers. Push your hands away from you. Keep your arms as straight as you can. Reach up. And fold forward. Bend your knees as you need to. Reach for the floor and sort of hang here in a ragdoll. Slowly straighten one leg, then the other one more strong, and sort of walking out your ragdoll. And keeping your knees bent, unroll. Come back to standing. Spin your arms back up towards the ceiling. Stretch, straighten your legs. Exhale, bring your hands back down. I'm going to start off with a simple forward bend. Take the right foot back. Keep your feet though hip width apart, so don't drag your foot back behind the left, just bring it straight back. Hands on your hips. Bend both knees gently as you look up. Lift your collarbones and fold forward over the front leg. Release your hands from your hips. Bring them to your shin, or maybe fingertips to the floor, whatever works for you. And then once you've reached as far down as you're going to get, pull that left hip back as you straighten both legs. You'll find this as it gets a little bit harder, more tension in the hamstring. You also notice that your big toe root wants to lift up. You want to roll your leg open. Counteract that by pushing the root of the big toe into the floor. At the same time you pull your hip back. You're squaring your hips with the front of the mat. Feel what's happening in your back as you're doing this. Check for tension. Things open up, your fingers can come to the floor, even farther down. To release, bend both your knees. Push your way up to standing. Step to the front with the right, step back with the left. Same thing on this side. Bend both your knees gently as you come down, hands to shin. Pull the right hip back. Root the right big toe. Lengthen the back. Straighten both legs. Things open up, the fingers can come farther down. We're back to yoga after a couple of months off as our house was being renovated. There was no non-dusty place to practice. It was too cold or rainy outside and just too dusty inside. Now we're happy to be back.
For many reasons. Yoga being one of them.
Yes. Bend your knees. Come to standing. Step to the front. Do warrior one. Step back with the right foot, the same pace you just did. Keep your hips square with the front of the mat. Bend the front knee. Try to keep your hips square. It may not be easy. The right hip is being pulled back because of tension in the hip flexor. But the shoulders can square with the front of the mat. Then the arms can come up. And if comfortable, you can look up in between your hands. If your shoulders allow, you can interlace your fingers and point your index fingers up. Keep rolling the right leg open. Don't let the knee collapse. Opening to warrior two, drop your arms so they're parallel with the floor. Turn to the side of the room. Reset your feet. You're going to have to do that because now your legs are essentially longer by the width of your pelvis. Jiggle them, move them around, then look over the left hand. Make sure your shoulders are loose. Tuck your tailbone under gently. Look down, make sure that your big toe is on the inside of your knee just a little bit. Don't let the knee track in. Your feet and your thighs should always be pointing in the same direction in yoga. From here, we'll move to reverse warrior. Drop your right hand, left palm faces up, reach up and back. And extended side triangle, come down over your left leg, forearm braces across the thigh, turn to the side, open up the shoulder in the front, right arm then swings around and comes overhead. If comfortable, you can look up into your palm. Keep rolling open. It's important to stay nice and open here, not collapse down towards the floor. Release, drop your right arm, look to the front, come back up to standing and step to the front of your mat. Left foot back, warrior one, hips square to the front. Arms can raise, interlace fingers if it works for your shoulders. If you can't straighten your arms with your hands interlaced, then just keep your arms straight and your hands coming as close as possible. Try to square your hips with the front of the mat. Try to keep the back leg straight. Try to roll the thigh open so that the outer edge of the left foot is in contact with the floor. Lots of things to balance. That's where the yoga comes in. You've got to think about it. The minute you stop thinking about what you're doing and what you're feeling, you're losing the pose. Warrior two, drop the arms parallel, reset the feet. Look down, make sure that your knee's not tracking in. Relax the shoulders, tuck the belly in, the tailbone under. Relax the face. Straighten the left leg. The right one stays nice and bent. Reverse forward warrior, drop the left hand, right palm faces up, reach up and over. Exhale, then come down to extended triangle. Right arm crosses the thigh. Open up to the side. Left arm sweeps over. And if comfortable, look up into the palm of your hand. If not, just look out across the room. Look down at the floor. Whatever works for your neck and for your balance. But keep opening to the side. Breathe. Relax. Feel lots of length between fingertip of the left hand and the edge of the left foot. Release the left arm, look down, straighten your leg, and step to the front. Shake it out. Whatever you do. Step to the side, so you're facing the side of your mat. Your feet are well separated. You're feeling splits already in the thighs, or the inner part of the groin. Bend your knees slightly, hands on hips, look up. Exhale, lean forward. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Even if you can go lower, don't go any lower right now. So fingertips on the floor. Flatten your back, straighten your legs. And now we're going to do the cat-cow variations here. We do these sometimes on our hands and knees. We're going to do it in this forward bend. So for cow, the belly drops, tailbone. Got to imagine you've got a tail, you're trying to stick it up into the air. And then for cat, you arch your back, tuck your tail under, your chin can come under too. And go back and forth. While you're doing this, sense what you're feeling in your hamstring and your inner thigh. You might notice that in cat, there's less tension. In cow, there's more tension. Do it one more time. So cat. And cow, and then come back to back flat, parallel with the floor. Now this may already be enough for you. If not, then drift your hands back till your fingertips are in line with your toe tips. Bring the palms of your hand down to the floor, and now push into the floor with your hands to straighten your legs but also flatten your back. As you notice when we're doing cat-cow, if you round your back, so if you do a cat here, yeah, I can probably reach my head down towards the floor, but I'm not getting that opening stretch that I want in my legs. What I'm getting instead is a rounding of my back. Right now, in this pose, that's not interesting. That's not what I want. Bend my elbows slightly as I can come further down as things open. But I'm trying hard not to round my back. Do relax your neck though. If you like, you can let it hang. You know you've come to a point of a good stretch when the muscles start jumping. I feel my right leg is starting to jump, so I stop and I say, okay, good. Today that's where I'm at. Engage your thighs. Engage your core muscles to pull yourself a little lower if you like. And release. Come back up to fingertips. Flatten your back. Wiggle your hips side to side to release them a bit. And then walk both hands over to the right foot. If you can, grab the right foot or the right ankle with both hands. And now here we're going to round our back and aim our nose towards our knee. Release, walk back to the middle, pause for a moment, and then walk over to the left. Grab the ankle with both hands if you can, round your back, aim your nose for the knee. Release. Walk back to the middle. heel toe in just a little bit, and then exhale, hands to hips. Bend your knees slightly. Inhale, come up to standing. I need to heel toe a little bit more to get closer before I step to the front and shake it out. Good. Now we're going to do a forward bend. We've already done several forward bends, so the hamstrings are probably a little bit warmed up. Bring your feet, either toes together or feet hip width apart. Whatever's comfortable for you. You want to try to get your feet parallel. So imagine there's railroad tracks. Each foot is on a railroad track. So not out like duck, not in like... What's the opposite of duck foot?
Pigeon.
Pigeon. That's it. It all depends on your hips, but try to get your feet parallel. Hands on your hips. Inhale, look up. Exhale, bend your knees slightly as you fold forwards. Hands to shin. Press, arms are long, lots of distance between tailbone and crown of head. Straighten your legs here. This might be enough. Now just slide your hands down. Don't round, don't close off the front of the body. Stay open as your hands slide down. Use your core. The goal here is not to touch the floor, but to lay your stomach on your thighs. That's when you're folding at your hips. Otherwise, you're rounding your back. Get down as far as you're going to go. Just hang out there. Release, exhale, bend your knees. And when you stand up, your feet stay where they are, but you put pressure on your feet outwards. And that releases the lower back. It uses your glute muscles to lift you up. Excellent. Walk it out. Now we're going to get down to the floor. So just spin our arms, look up. Fold forwards, bending your knees as you need to get both hands to the floor. Step back with both feet to high plank. Drop your knees to the ground, bend your elbows down towards your hips. Bring your chin down to the floor and your chest. Inhale, slide forwards, come to a gentle cobra. Exhale, passing through table pose, so hands and knees on the ground. Pick up your hips, push them back into the first downward facing dog. Because it's the first one, watch out, especially for your calf muscles and your heels. Walk out your dog, straightening one leg, bending the other one. Try to spread your hands nice and wide, root the base of your index fingers. And now straighten your legs. Try to roll your shoulders, so roll your shoulder blades off your back, close off your armpits, and then push your weight back. Your heels may or may not come down to the floor, it doesn't matter. Oops, that's a little slippery today. And bend your knees, come down to the ground. We've done a lot of forward bends, we're going to counter with a gentle back bend. Come down onto your stomach. Sphinx pose, elbows underneath your shoulders, palms on the ground, look forward, pull your shoulders back. And then I try to describe this like you're trying to pull your body out of your hips. So imagine your hips are glued to the floor and a little bit of tension in the lower back by pulling your ribs forward. Release, make a pillow out of your hands, put your chin on your hands and roll your hips side to side. You can choose to repeat, or you can come to cobra pose, hands where your elbows were. Roll your shoulders nice and open. Leave your head hanging as you come up. Use your back and then your hand. The last thing is the cobra lifts its hood. Release, roll back down, make the pillow out of your hands, put your chin on it, roll your hips side to side. And for the last one, you can repeat either those first two, or you can come to upward facing dog. I like to bring my feet closer together if I'm doing upward facing dog. Hands in the same place as cobra, roll the shoulders open. But I then pull myself off the ground and forward and up. From here, then I lift my hips, roll over my toes. You can push to child's, you can go through table, or you go straight to downward facing dog. And then drop your knees, come to the ground. Do something for our hips. Bring the soles of your feet together. Lift your hips and bring them as close as you can to your heels, on the condition that your knees don't end up way up in the air. You want your knees to be relatively close to the floor. If that means you stay farther away from your heels, then so be it. Grab onto your feet. Sit tall and relax. To get your knees a little bit closer to the floor, to get some more stretch in the groin. Just squeezing your butt and trying to pull them down is not really what you want to do. I want to imagine you're using the muscles that you would need to push your knees out towards the wall on either side. That will release the inner groin and not tighten it, and then allow your knees to come closer to the floor. Don't just squeeze your butt cheeks. That won't do it. To help, you can open your feet like a book. And then to release, lift up your knees, pull them together, straighten them out. Roll your legs in and out. Do a few more poses, then we'll end up in corpse pose. The first one, a good stretch for the thigh. Grab the right ankle, pull it behind. Try to keep your thighs parallel as much as it works for you, and then move your hips over so that you're sitting right next to your right ankle. If your knee is tight, if your ankle is tight, you'll have to stay a little bit farther away from it, or roll up something and put it at the end of your shin so that your ankle is not being pressed into the floor quite so much. And then you can lean back gently. It's been a long time since we've done this. I can feel this. Snowshoeing I can feel too now suddenly again.
Mm-hmm. Snow is deep, deep, deep.
Yeah, when you snowshoe, you lift your feet high, high, high. As things release, you can come back a little bit farther. Try to keep the knee of the bent leg on the floor, at least the whole shin on the floor. And feel a nice pull right through the quad muscle. To come out of this, roll over onto the long leg side so there's no tension left in the right leg. Straighten it out. Come back up to seated. Grab the left ankle, pull it back. Move your hips over so that you're as close to it as you can comfortably get. And lean back. The reason why we roll over to the long leg side when we come out of this pose is if we were just to flip the bent leg out to the side, put a lot of stress on the inside of the knee. The first time you might not feel it, the second time you might not, but after a couple of months or years of doing that, you will loosen your knee joint and you will cause yourself damage to the ligaments. As things open up, lean back. One side is not like the other, as I've just noticed. Yeah, the clock is warning us it's about to go cuckoo. When the clock chimed its cuckoo chimed, and we're done. Come out, roll over onto the long leg side, kick out the bent knee, and roll it out. Come to lying down on our backs for a simple bridge pose. Grab your ankles, plant your heels next to your hips. If you can, grab onto your ankles or onto your heels, and with the inhale, push your knees away. Lift your hips. The exhale, come down. Do it again. Inhale, knees away from you. Lift your hips. Exhale, come down. The third time, you can choose to stay up or keep on going up and down. If you choose to stay up, take a little bit of time to rock your shoulders underneath, pushing with your elbows into the ground, lifting your hips a little bit higher. Keep looking at the ceiling. In this pose, you don't want to turn your head side to side. Look up at the ceiling at all times. And then release. Come to lying on the ground. Squeeze one knee in. Squeeze in the other one. Squeeze in both. Roll, rock around on your back. And then extend your legs. Drop your hands out to the side, palms up. Move what needs to be moved so that you can relax. And just come to full relaxation, corpse pose.
Savasana.
Sorry, that's right. Savasana. My father said I should not call it corpse pose. Sorry, Dad. Savasana. And bring some feeling back to your fingers and toes. Roll your wrists and your ankles. If you like, interlace your fingers, push your palms away from you like we did at the beginning, and drop your hands overhead. Then tuck in your knees. Give yourself a squeeze. Feet back down to the floor, keep your knees bent. Right arm overhead, roll over into your right side, use your right arm as a pillow. Using just your arm strength, push your way up to seated. Cross your ankles. Because we always cross our ankles the same way when we sit down, undo them and cross them the other way. Just to feel what that's like and to get used to doing things on the other side of your body. Sit tall, tuck your chin under slightly, reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, and then relax in your seat. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Next inhale, bring your palms together. And we say namaste. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you again.
Just so you know, we've had quite a few more people than usual because you made the video public.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's interested in following more, and they aren't part of we've got a Facebook yoga group, but you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then that way you get
Whenever
notified.
more videos are added, then
Yeah,
you
if
get
you
a
click on the
notification.
little bell, then you'll be notified if there are more. And we'll try to post a few times a week.
It's up to you.
We were doing it daily. We might get back to daily. It might be daily, but
Not
we'll
yet.
say multiple times a week.
Yes.
That's
And-
what we promise.
And we do this basically for ourselves.
Yes.
We hope you join us, but that's totally up to you.
Yeah.